Wow, this is really something.
This is the story of Joe, whose life took an unexpected turn with a modest $5 purchase at a small-town flea market. Unbeknownst to him, this unassuming statue would set in motion a series of divine revelations that defy belief. But before we embark on this remarkable journey, take a moment to reflect on where you are and what time it is. It's a testament to the boundless reach of faith that stories such as this can touch hearts worldwide. Joe was an ordinary man, living a humble life as an auto mechanic in a quiet Texas town. At 35, he was the go-to guy for car troubles, always ready with a friendly smile, though his hands bore the indelible marks of his trade. Yet beneath his cheerful exterior lay a heart heavy with worry for his ailing mother. The burden of her mounting medical bills was relentless, threatening to overshadow the hope he clung to. Raised in the Catholic faith, Joe found himself distanced from the church as he grew older. Mass was a distant memory from his childhood, and as the demands of life increased, so did his separation from spiritual practices. It wasn't that he had lost his belief. It was simply that he hadn't paused to reflect on it in years. But now, with his mother's health on the line, the whispers of faith began to stir within him once more. On a bright Saturday morning, eager to escape his mounting worries, Joe wandered through the bustling local flea market. The air was a nostalgic tapestry of vibrant stalls brimming with trinkets, antiques, and the irresistible scent of freshly popped kettle corn. Joe wasn't searching for anything specific, perhaps a tool or two for his garage, but then his gaze fell upon an object partially obscured by a stack of old books. It was a Virgin Mary statue, standing about 12 inches tall, its paint chipped and a fine layer of dust settled in its crevices. Despite its weathered appearance, the statue possessed an undeniable beauty, its craftsmanship capturing the serene grace of Mary's visage. The vendor, noting Joe's interest, offered it for the modest sum of $5, dismissing it as too worn to hold more value. Joe hesitated, but then, compelled by an inexplicable urge, he handed over the money. For days, the statue occupied a quiet corner of Joe's living room, largely unnoticed amidst the chaos of daily life. The garage remained busy, and his mother's condition showed little sign of improvement. Yet, in fleeting moments, Joe found his gaze drawn to the statue, sensing an inexplicable calm emanating from it. As Joe navigated the trials life laid before him, the Virgin Mary statue evolved from a mere decorative piece to a silent sentinel of his struggles, heralding the miraculous journey about to unfold. Let us delve into the events that followed, unveiling the profound transformation that began with a simple $5 purchase. As Joe navigated the trials life laid before him, the Virgin Mary statue evolved from a mere decorative piece to a silent sentinel of his struggles, heralding the miraculous journey about to unfold. Let us delve into the events that followed, unveiling the profound transformation that began with a simple $5 purchase. The late afternoon sunlight filtered through the thin curtains of Joe's modest living room, casting a warm glow upon the weathered statue of the Virgin Mary. For days, the statue had been an unassuming presence. But as Joe grappled with the mounting worries over his mother's declining health, he found himself increasingly drawn to its serene countenance. It had been a particularly grueling day at the garage, a place that had become both a refuge and a source of relentless stress. The familiar scent of oil and steel clung to him as he slumped into the worn armchair, weary and burdened. His mother's condition had worsened, each visit to her bedside amplifying his feelings of helplessness and despair. Her frail frame seemed to diminish with each passing day, leaving Joe with a deep, gnawing ache in his heart. The room fell into a hushed stillness, broken only by the distant hum of traffic outside. Joe's gaze drifted to the Virgin Mary statue, its gentle expression seeming to invite him into a moment of quiet reflection. He hesitated, feeling the weight of years spent away from prayer and church. Faith had become a distant memory, overshadowed by the harsh realities of life. Yet, in the depths of his spirit, there stirred a longing, a yearning for solace, for a whisper of hope in the midst of his turmoil. Compelled by an impulse he barely understood, Joe knelt on the threadbare carpet, his eyes fixed on the statue. He was acutely aware of the awkwardness in his actions, the unfamiliarity of prayer after so many years, but he pressed on, driven by a need he could not articulate. Hi, he began, his voice barely a whisper. I don't really know how to do this anymore. It's been a long time since I talked to you. He paused, feeling foolish and exposed. But the statue's gaze remained steadfast, unjudging, as if urging him to continue. My mom, he faltered, his voice cracking. She's not doing so well. I don't know what to do. I feel so lost. The words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered, a stream of consciousness that laid bare his fears and vulnerabilities. He spoke of his struggles, of the weight of responsibility that threatened to crush him, of the love for his mother that felt both sustaining and suffocating in its intensity. As he poured out his heart, something shifted within him, a subtle realignment of spirit, a quiet stirring of faith. Long dormant, it was as if the simple act of voicing his desperation had opened a door to a place of sacred possibility. The prayer, awkward and tentative, marked a turning point. Joe rose from his knees, feeling a strange sense of release, a lightness that belied the gravity of his circumstances. The day faded into night, and as he lay in bed, his thoughts returned to the prayer, to the fragile thread of faith he had begun to weave anew. That night, sleep came swiftly, enveloping him in a cocoon of restful darkness. And within that slumber, a dream unfolded, a vision that would linger with Joe long after the dawn. He found himself standing in a garden, vibrant and alive with color and light. The air was fragrant with the scent of blooming flowers, the gentle rustle of leaves whispering secrets of peace and grace. It was a place of ethereal beauty, untouched by the shadows of the world. In the heart of the garden stood the Virgin Mary, her presence luminous and serene. Her eyes, deep and compassionate, met his with a warmth that sent a tremor through his soul. She spoke no words, yet her very being radiated a message of comfort and hope, a balm for the wounds of his weary heart. Joe felt drawn to her, an inexplicable pull that transcended the boundaries of the dream. He moved toward her, each step infused with a profound sense of belonging, a return to a sacred truth he had once known. As he neared, the garden seemed to pulse with life, a symphony of creation that echoed the divine harmony he had longed for. In that moment, Joe understood this was not merely a dream, but a glimpse of the miraculous, a testament to the power of faith to transcend the temporal and touch the eternal. The Virgin Mary extended her hand, a silent invitation to embrace the hope she offered. He reached out, and as their hands met, A warmth spread through him, a healing light that filled the cracks of his spirit. It was as if every doubt, every fear, was being gently washed away, replaced by a certainty that he was not alone. The dream began to fade, the garden dissolving into a soft haze of golden light. Joe awoke with a start, the echoes of the vision lingering in the quiet dawn. He lay still, the memory of the dream vivid and alive, beacon of hope shining in the darkness of his uncertainty. As the new day began, Joe's heart was alight with a flicker of faith, a rekindled belief in the possibility of miracles. The Virgin Mary statue, once a mere object, had become a symbol of his journey, a reminder of the divine presence that whispered through the fabric of his life. With renewed resolve, Joe rose to face the challenges ahead, his spirit buoyed by the promise of grace. He knew the road would not be easy, but he was no longer alone. The Virgin Mary had shown him the way, and he carried her message of hope within him, a sacred trust that would guide him through the days to come. And so, the stage was set for the unfolding miracle, a testament to the transformative power of faith and the enduring love of a mother both earthly and divine. As Joe embraced this new chapter, he did so with an open heart, ready to witness the wonders that lay ahead. As Joe embarked on this new chapter of his life, the church became his sanctuary, a refuge where he could explore the depths of his burgeoning faith. The worn pews, the flickering votive candles, and the stained glass windows depicting biblical scenes created an atmosphere that embraced him, offering solace and guidance in a world that often felt tumultuous and uncertain. Each visit was a step further along a path illuminated by the promise of divine grace, and each prayer was a bridge connecting him to a higher purpose. One afternoon, while the sun cast intricate patterns of light through the stained glass, Joe found himself drawn once more to the statue of the Virgin Mary. Her serene expression and the gentle curve of her hands seemed almost alive in the shifting light, a silent testament to the mysteries of faith. As he knelt before her, something caught his eye, an inscription at the base, partially obscured by the shadows. RC 1958, he murmured, tracing the letters with his fingers. The engraving was subtle, almost as if it were meant to be discovered only by those who truly sought it. Intrigued, Joe felt a spark of curiosity ignite within him. Who was RC and why was this date significant? Determined to uncover the story behind the statue, Joe began his quest for answers. His search led him to a parishioner who spoke with reverence of Martha, a local historian known for her expertise in religious artifacts. Encouraged by the prospect of unraveling the mystery, Joe arranged to meet with her. Martha's home was a treasure trove of history. Shelves lined with books on theology and art history, walls adorned with framed relics and photographs of ancient churches. It was a space where past and present converged in harmonious dialogue. Martha herself was a woman of gentle demeanor, her eyes twinkling with the wisdom of years spent delving into the stories that shaped their community. As Joe explained his discovery, Martha listened intently, nodding as he spoke of the inscription. "Ah, Raphael Castillo," she mused, a smile playing on her lips. "RC. He was a masterful sculptor, known for imbuing his works with a touch of the divine. His pieces often inspire profound spiritual experiences." Joe leaned forward, captivated. "What do you mean by a touch of the divine?" Martha's eyes met his, filled with a depth of understanding. Rafael Castillo believed that his art was not merely a reflection of his own talent, but a conduit for something greater. He dedicated each piece to the glory of God, praying that his work might serve as a vessel through which the divine could touch the hearts of those who beheld it. As Martha spoke, Joe felt a warmth spread through him, a sense of connection to something far greater than himself. The statue was no longer just a symbol of his journey, but a tangible link to the miracles he longed to witness. His works are said to possess miraculous qualities, Martha continued, her voice imbued with reverence. Many who have encountered them speak of healing, both physical and spiritual. It's as if they carry a blessing, meant to uplift and transform. Joe's heart quickened at the prospect. Could this be the sign he had been seeking? A confirmation that his prayers for his mother might yet be answered? The revelation imbued him with a newfound determination, a resolve to seek divine intervention with unwavering faith. As the conversation drew to a close, Martha regarded Joe with a gentle smile. Remember, faith is not a solitary journey. It is a tapestry woven from the threads of community, love, and shared belief. Trust in the path you're on, and know that you're not alone. Leaving Martha's home, Joe felt an immense gratitude for the connection they had shared. Her words resonated within him, a sacred echo that fortified his spirit. He returned to the church, his steps purposeful, his heart aligned with the rhythm of hope. Kneeling once more before the statue, Joe closed his eyes, surrendering his fears and doubts in prayer. Holy Mother, guide me, he whispered, the words a plea and a promise entwined. Help me to see the miracles in every moment, and grant me the strength to trust in the divine plan. The church was silent, save for the soft rustle of the wind through the open doors. Yet within that silence, Joe felt a presence, a gentle assurance that whispered through his soul. The Virgin Mary stood vigil over him, her eyes a reflection of the love and grace that flowed from the heart of God. As he rose to leave, a sense of peace enveloped him, a quiet certainty that the path ahead was illuminated by the light of faith. Joe knew the road would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but he was no longer daunted by the shadows. With each step, he carried the message of hope within him, a sacred trust that would guide him through the days to come. And so, the stage was set for the unfolding miracle, a testament to the transformative power of faith and the enduring love of a mother both earthly and divine. As Joe embraced this new chapter, he did so with an open heart, ready to witness the wonders that lay ahead. As Joe walked home that evening, the peace he felt at the chapel lingered in his heart, a gentle glow that seemed to light his way through the dimly lit streets. The stars above twinkled with a quiet brilliance, as if mirroring the newfound hope that had taken root within him. Arriving at his modest home, Joe's eyes fell upon the small statue of the Virgin Mary that sat on a shelf by the window. Her serene gaze seemed to beckon him, inviting him to draw closer. Inspired by the presence he had felt earlier, Joe decided to create a space where he could offer his prayers and gratitude. He gathered fresh flowers from his garden, their vibrant colors and sweet scents a humble offering to the Blessed Mother. Carefully, he arranged them around the statue, their petals a delicate frame for the figure that had come to mean so much to him. He placed candles beside the flowers, their gentle flames casting a warm glow that danced across the room. As he knelt before the altar, Joe felt a profound sense of connection, as if his prayers were a bridge between heaven and earth. Each night, he returned to this sacred space, his words growing in conviction and his heart swelling with faith. The ritual became a source of strength, a moment of tranquility amid the chaos of uncertainty. Weeks passed, and with each prayer, Joe's trust in the Virgin Mary's intercession deepened. He spoke to her as to a dear friend, pouring out his hopes and fears, and trusting her with the cares that weighed heavily upon him. And though he asked for nothing more than her guidance and protection, his heart harbored a quiet hope for a miracle. Then, one crisp autumn afternoon, as the leaves rustled softly in the breeze, Joe received a call from the hospital. His mother's doctor, a voice tinged with incredulity, informed him that her condition had inexplicably improved. The words hung in the air, a melody of hope that played upon Joe's heartstrings. The doctors were baffled, their medical explanations falling short of the wonders that had unfolded. But Joe knew with an unshakable certainty that the Virgin Mary's gentle hand had touched his mother's life. News of the miracle spread quickly through the close-knit community. People spoke in hushed tones, their voices filled with wonder and a renewed sense of faith. It wasn't long before friends and neighbors began to gather at Joe's home, drawn by the story of hope that had blossomed in their midst. On a cool evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a small group gathered around Joe's makeshift altar. The flickering candlelight illuminated their faces, each one reflecting a different story of struggle and longing. Among them was Mrs. Alvarez, whose son had been deployed overseas, and Mr. Thompson, who had recently lost his job. They sought solace in the presence of the statue, their hearts united in prayer and hope. Joe welcomed them with open arms, his heart swelling with gratitude for the community that had embraced him in his time of need. Together, they shared stories of their own journeys, each one a testament to the enduring human spirit and the power of faith. As they prayed, the room was filled with a sacred energy, sense of unity that transcended words. In the weeks that followed, the gatherings at Joe's home grew in number and spirit. The small altar became a beacon of hope, a reminder of the divine love that watched over them all. People came seeking comfort, drawn by the promise of a miracle, and left with a renewed sense of purpose and peace. Joe's heart was full as he witnessed the transformation that had taken place. The miracle had not only touched his mother's life, but had rippled through the community, igniting a flame of faith that burned brightly in each heart. He saw in their eyes the same light that had guided him through his darkest moments, a light kindled by the Virgin Mary's love. As the days turned into weeks, Joe continued to nurture the altar with fresh flowers and candles, each one a symbol of the prayers that rose like incense to the heavens. He watched as the community grew closer, their bonds strengthened by the shared experience of grace and hope. One evening, as the gathering dispersed and the last candle flickered out, Joe stood before the statue, his heart full of gratitude. The miracle had been a gift, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the light of faith could illuminate the path forward. He knew that the journey was far from over, but he faced it with an open heart, ready to embrace whatever wonders lay ahead. With a final prayer of thanks, Joe turned from the altar, carrying with him the message of hope and the promise of the Virgin Mary's intercession. And as he stepped into the night, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, their light a reflection of the miracle that had unfolded in the humble home of a faithful man. As Joe stepped out into the night, the cool air enveloped him, and the stars above twinkled as if they were keeping vigil over the town of St. Michael's. The miracle had sparked a flame within his heart, one that had long been dormant. He felt a profound sense of peace and hope, not just for himself but for his entire community. In the days that followed, word of the miracle spread like wildfire. People from every corner of the town began to visit Joe's humble home, drawn by the tale of divine intervention and the statue of the Virgin Mary that had become a beacon of hope. They came seeking their own moments of grace, eager to experience the peace that had transformed Joe. Joe welcomed each visitor with an open heart, sharing his story with humility and sincerity. "I was lost in darkness," he would recount. "But through the Virgin Mary's intercession, I found my way back to the light." His words resonated deeply with those who listened, as they saw in him a reflection of their own struggles and aspirations. The once quiet street where Joe lived now bustled with life. Families gathered in prayer, candles flickering gently in the evening breeze. The air was filled with the soft murmur of shared hopes and whispered prayers, chorus of faith that seemed to rise to the heavens. The statue of the Virgin Mary stood at the heart of it all, her serene gaze inviting all who came to find solace and strength. Among the visitors was Father Dominic, the parish priest, who had known Joe for many years. He watched in awe as Joe, once distant from the church, now embraced his faith with fervor. "It is truly a blessing to see you so renewed," Father Dominic remarked one afternoon, as they stood together before the statue. Joe smiled, his eyes reflecting the joy that had taken root within him. "I never imagined such transformation was possible," he confessed. "But I see now that faith is like a seed. Once it takes root, it grows and flourishes, touching everything around it." Father Dominic nodded, his heart full of gratitude for the miracle that had rekindled the town's spirit. "The Virgin Mary has not only touched your life, Joe, but she has ignited a flame of hope in all of us. We must nurture this gift and let it guide us forward." As the days turned into weeks, the community of St. Michael's began to transform. The church, once sparsely attended, now overflowed with parishioners eager to participate in Mass and community events. People who had been estranged from one another found common ground in their shared faith, their bonds strengthened by the miracle that had touched their lives. Joe became an active member of the parish, joining in the choir and helping organize events that celebrated their renewed sense of unity. His once solitary life blossomed with friendships, each one a testament to the power of faith to bring people together. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of gold and crimson, Joe stood on his porch, gazing out at the gathering. Below, families sat together, sharing stories and laughter, while children played nearby, their joyous cries echoing in the twilight. The sight filled Joe with an overwhelming sense of gratitude. He turned to Father Dominic, who stood beside him, watching the scene unfold. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Joe said softly, his voice tinged with awe. "Indeed it is," Father Dominic replied, his eyes shining with tears of joy. "This is the true miracle, Joe. The transformation of hearts and the renewal of faith." As the night deepened, Joe joined the gathering, his heart full of love for the community that had become his family. He felt a deep connection to each person, united by the shared experience of grace and the promise of the Virgin Mary's intercession. In the coming days, Joe continued to share his story with all who would listen, his words a testament to the enduring power of faith. "We are all on a journey," he would say, "and though the path may be difficult, we are never alone. The Virgin Mary walks with us, guiding us with her light and love." The community of St. Michael's embraced this message, their lives enriched by the miracle that had touched them all. They found strength in their faith and in one another as they faced the challenges and joys of life. As the stars began to appear in the night sky, Joe looked up, his heart full of gratitude for the miracle that had transformed his life and the lives of those around him. The journey was far from over, but he faced it with an open heart, ready to embrace whatever wonders lay ahead. And as he stood there, surrounded by the warmth and love of his community, Joe knew that the light of faith would continue to guide them all, a beacon of hope shining brightly in the night. The dawn of a new day spilled golden light over the town of St. Michael's, casting long shadows that danced across the cobblestone streets like joyful spirits. Joe awoke to the soft chirping of birds outside his window, melody that seemed to harmonize with the peace that had taken root in his heart. The events of the past few weeks played through his mind like a sacred film, a tapestry of faith, hope, and unexpected grace. His mother, once frail and confined to the shadows of her illness, now stood in the kitchen, humming softly as she prepared breakfast. Her cheeks, kissed by the gentle blush of returning health, glowed with a vitality that had once seemed lost. Joe watched her move with a newfound ease, a testament to the divine intervention that had touched their lives so profoundly. "Good morning, Joe," she greeted, her voice a warm embrace that wrapped around him like a cherished memory. He smiled, feeling the depth of their connection strengthen with each passing day. "Good morning, Mom," he replied, stepping forward to help her with the breakfast preparations. Together, they worked in a silent rhythm, their hearts aligned in gratitude and wonder. After breakfast, they prepared for Mass, a ritual that had become a cornerstone of their renewed relationship. As they walked to St. Michael's Church, Joe marveled at the statue of the Virgin Mary in their living room. Stood as a sentinel of grace, its serene expression a constant reminder of the miracle that had unfolded within their home. Each time Joe passed by, he felt a surge of gratitude, a silent prayer of thanks to the Blessed Mother for her intercession. The church bells tolled, their resonant chimes echoing through the crisp morning air as Joe and his mother entered the sacred space. The familiar scent of incense greeted them, mingling with the soft glow of candlelight that bathed the altar in a celestial luminescence. They took their seats among the congregation, a tapestry of familiar faces woven together by shared faith. Father Thomas began the Mass with a gentle reverence, his words infused with the profound wisdom that came from a lifetime of service. His homily spoke of the transformative power of faith, of the miracles that could unfold from even the smallest gestures of love and devotion. Joe listened, his heart swelling with the truth of the message. After the service, the parishioners gathered outside, their conversations a symphony of joy and connection. Joe and his mother were greeted with warm smiles and heartfelt embraces, the community enveloping them in a collective spirit of support and love. "Joe, it's so wonderful to see you here," said Mrs. O'Brien, a longtime family friend whose eyes sparkled with warmth. Your story has been an inspiration to us all." Joe nodded, feeling a humbling sense of gratitude. "Thank you, Mrs. O'Brien. It's been a journey, but I'm grateful for every step." As they walked home, Joe and his mother spoke of the day's homily, their conversation weaving through the lessons of faith and the miracles they had witnessed. The bond between them, once strained by time and circumstance, had been reforged in the crucible of shared belief and the gentle light of the Virgin Mary's love. In the days that followed, Joe found himself drawn deeper into the life of the church. He volunteered to help with various parish activities, from organizing charity events to assisting with maintenance tasks. Each act of service felt like a prayer, a way to give back to the community that had embraced him so fully. As he worked alongside other parishioners, Joe discovered a sense of purpose that had eluded him for so long. The camaraderie, the shared laughter, and the collective striving toward a greater good filled him with a joy that was both humbling and uplifting. One afternoon, as Joe polished the brass candlesticks in the sacristy, Father Thomas approached him, his presence as calming as a gentle breeze. "Joe, may I have a word with you?" the priest asked, his eyes twinkling with a warmth that mirrored the light of the candles. "Of course, Father," Joe replied, setting down his cloth and turning to face the priest. Father Thomas smiled, his expression both thoughtful and kind. "I've been observing your journey, Joe, and I must say your faith has blossomed in a truly remarkable way. It's as if the miracle you experienced opened your heart to a new beginning." Joe nodded, his heart full of gratitude. "It has, Father. I feel like I've been given a second chance, and I want to make the most of it." The priest placed a reassuring hand on Joe's shoulder. "Your story is a testament to the power of faith and the miracles that can emerge from it. Have you considered sharing it more widely?" Joe hesitated, the idea both exhilarating and daunting. "I hadn't thought about it, Father, but if it can inspire others, I'd be willing to share." Father Thomas nodded, his expression one of encouragement. "I believe it could bring hope to many, Joe. There's a beauty in sharing our stories, in allowing others to see the light that guides us." The conversation lingered in Joe's thoughts as he continued with his tasks, the notion of sharing his story taking root within him. He imagined speaking to others, his words a bridge connecting hearts through the shared tapestry of faith. As the weeks passed, Joe's days were filled with both the sacred and the ordinary moments of quiet reflection. At the feet of the Virgin Mary statue, and bustling activity within the heart of the church community. His faith, once a flickering ember, now burned brightly, illuminating his path with a steadfast light. His mother's health continued to improve, her laughter a joyous melody that filled their home. Together they navigated the ebb and flow of life, their bond a testament to the miracles they had witnessed. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Joe spoke of the conversation he had with Father Thomas. "Mom, Father Thomas suggested that I share our story with others," he said, his voice a gentle caress in the evening air. His mother looked at him, her eyes filled with love and understanding. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Joe. Our journey has been a testament to the power of faith, and sharing it could bring hope to those who need it." Joe nodded, feeling the truth of her words resonate within him. "Then it's settled. I'll speak to Father Thomas about how best to do it." As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Joe felt a sense of peace settle over him. The journey of faith, and renewal was ongoing, a sacred pilgrimage that would continue to unfold in ways he could not yet imagine. But he was ready to embrace it, knowing that the light of faith, the love of his community, and the guiding presence of the Virgin Mary would illuminate his path, now and always. With a heart full of gratitude and hope, Joe looked toward the horizon, eager to see what wonders lay ahead in this new beginning. Here is a warm, reflective end comment and subscribe cue, crafted to fit Joe's rediscovered faith journey, and including the location plus time question exactly as requested. Before you go, take a moment and share with us in the comments. Where are you watching from, and what time is it where you are right now? It's always powerful to see how stories of faith and quiet miracles reach hearts across the world, at every hour. If Joe's story of an unexpected sign, renewed faith, and hope in the midst of hardship touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel. Each story is shared to remind us that sometimes heaven begins its work in the smallest and most unexpected ways. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next story of miracles, faith restored, and divine grace. Thank you for watching. May God's peace remain with you and your loved ones, now and always.